And so in 1617 our forebears need discerning, Matthias Brigham lent his aid to light the torch of burning, be it latitude or longitude, the poles or the equator, always find a man who boasts that Foyle's his alma-mater.
Foyle College opened the new campus in the Waterside in 2018, just over 400 years after the school was founded by Matthias Brigham in 1670. This single-site co-educational school sits on the Cluny Road, where the former US Naval Communications Centre was based. It commands a spectacular view of the Foyle, the city and the Donegal Hills. We can see the expansive range of facilities for the modern Foyle, including rugby, hockey and cricket pitches and tennis courts. All these are complemented by indoor sports halls and changing rooms. The academic curriculum is served by the state-of-the-art science and technology labs, art and crafts studios and home economics and music suites, along with a myriad of teaching classrooms. The site is shared with Ebrington Primary School, and both schools making use of the kitchens and dining areas. This is all a far cry from conditions in the past history of the school, but a special area has been set aside to tell the story of how today's school has evolved from a single-storied, long and plain building close to where St Augustine's Church now stands, but before either the cathedral or Derry walls had been built. It was the remarkable Matthias Brigham, sent over as a merchant tailor at the time of the plantation of Ulster, who generously gave his own money to build the school when the promised funds and royal charter failed to materialise. As we enter the archive, the glass cabinet display of major personalities of Foyle gives a snapshot of how the school has developed, and above the door to the main room, acknowledgement is paid to our founder, Matthias Brigham. In this area, we see the foundation stones and plaques marking the various buildings at former sites, and here also we can view the earliest of our sports teams dating back to the 1870s. Modern panoramic photos showing the 900 plus pupils and staff of the school community are displayed, along with the British and Lions blazer belonging to the late Ken Goodall. To set the mood for our younger visitors, we have positioned a model of a former housemaster, complete with gown, hood and mortarboard. Here we note the photographic display of music and drama productions stretching from the 1920s to the present day. Former teacher Jack Bogle and former pupil Yvonne Huey have their line drawings of Derry churches and the school campuses of old on show. A brand new cabinet houses a unique collection of Foyle memorabilia in a set of over 60 box files, all catalogued and numbered. It includes many of the notes of Foyle archivists William S. Ferguson and Alan Roberts. We find here also the obituaries of former pupils. Newly built in this room is a stand of bookshelves, the contents of which reflect the teaching of days gone by. Particularly outstanding is the library of classical Latin and Greek literature, subjects which are seldom taught in modern schools. This area is a work in progress in terms of cataloguing the huge number of books. Other glass cabinets contain soft-back spare copies of their old Our School Times and Falcon, along with the modern versions of the school magazine and former Pupils Association magazines. The association also shows off its wide range of merchandise in this area. As we enter the main exhibit room, we see the impressive gallery of presidents of the Old Boys Association and the Old Girls Association, along with the newly established former pupils presidents. The first president of the OBA is especially interesting, the Right Honourable Sir John Ross, who was also the last Lord Chancellor of Ireland, 1921, at the time of partition in Ireland. Incidentally, he was a great chum of Piercy French, another old boy, who found fame as a songwriter, artist and entertainer. Not many voluntary grammar schools had their own chapel, but Foyle did in the 1870s at Lawrence Hill. We still have a chapel table and the chapel Bible, along with the register of those staff and pupils who attended the services. In subsequent years, the chapel was converted into the gymnasium. One can examine the bank of panoramic photos of the Londonderry Academical Institute, Foyle College and the Londonderry High School. This collection is complete, stretching from 1879 to the present time. Centrepiece is a magnificent conference table from the old boardroom with its 16 formal chairs, a particularly useful piece of furniture when hosting visiting groups. The importance of sport within Foyle's history is illustrated by the display stand of honours caps, which include School, Ulster, Ireland and Lions awards. We are proud of the photographic record which used to adorn the corridors of Lawrence Hill, Duncragan and Springtown. Nothing has been thrown out. Indeed, all the photos have been digitised and can be viewed in comfort on the large TV monitor. The earliest team photos go back to the 1870s, and rugby, hockey, cricket, prefects, athletics and music and drama groups can also be viewed in their original form, stored in large folders for closer inspection. Facing towards the door wall, we can admire the photographs and paintings of the Lawrence brothers, along with Montgomery and Andrews, after whom the original houses were named. The most important archives are stored in a bank of fireproof filing cabinets. Here we can find the registers of pupils and staff going back to 1814, when the Diocesan Free School moved to what is now known as Lawrence Hill. The origins of the Londonderry High School is well documented, with files of the Strand House School, Victoria High School, St Luric's College and the Northland School of House Swissbury. The magazines of all these institutions are housed here also, many of them bound in hardback. Alan Roberts and William S. Ferguson must take most of the credit for collecting and preserving the enormous amounts of records, registrations, published texts and personal libraries pertaining to Foyle. I would be surprised if any other school in Ulster, maybe even in Ireland, would have such a complete archive. Very recently, we have acquired a number of lighted display cabinets, which allow us to exhibit our most valuable items for visits, etc., before returning them to the safety of their filing cabinets. A series of photo books has been produced which further illustrates life at Foyle College, past and present. Topics include headmasters and headmistresses, buildings, sports, music and drama and teaching staff throughout the years. The two lecterns which graced the assembly halls of Lawrence Hill, Duncragan and Springtown are still in use for lectures and talks. They stand in front of the glass display unit which used to stand outside the Duncragan Assembly Hall and contains many items of high school memorabilia. The family of Edgar Bigger, a long-serving member of staff, donated the annex to the main room for further exhibitions, mainly of high school interest. Information boards tell the stories of Greta Cousins, a suffragette, Mabel Cahoon, a former teacher and renowned archaeologist, William Tilley of Tilley and Henderson's factory, and whose Duncragan house was bought by the Londonderry High School, and Edith Hoffmann, a refugee from the German war camps who attended the Londonderry High School. Two further information boards tell of the old free school pupils, William Beattie, who was at Lord Nelson's side as ship surgeon on board HMS Victory at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, when Nelson was fatally wounded. Another describes the life of George Farquhar, a Restoration dramatist during the late 17th century, and of his considerable contribution to the world of theatre in London. The timeline of the evolution of Foyle College is mounted for easy inspection, along with the portraits and photos of famous old boys and some of the oldest team photos of hockey, rugby and cricket. We have been able to show only a fraction of the vast amount of the artefacts and records of our great school, but we hope this serves as an appetizer for you to arrange to make a personal visit. Monday and Tuesday mornings tend to be the most convenient and should be arranged through the Foyle office. You will be made very welcome. A video in 4 parts telling the history of the school is available online on YouTube and the Foyle College Former Pupils website.